Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 4th. The time is now 10:13 a.m. This is our regular scheduled council meeting. We're now calling this meeting to order. Please silence your phones if you have not already done so. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nico Reynoso.
Present.
Councilman Rafael Pinedo.
Present.
Councilwoman Dina Cabral.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maureen Porras.
Here.
Mayor Christy Fraga.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Angie. Thank you very much. All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Porras. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's invocation will be led by Pastor Steve Alessi. Welcome, Pastor Alessi. Thank you for joining us.
As always, we thank our council for allowing us to come and be a part of these wonderful proceedings. So let's pray if we feel comfortable bowing our heads. Lord, you're good to us, and we thank you that on this day we can come together and start the business of our city by opening up in a word of prayer. We ask that your hand will be upon everything that is done in this environment today, in this gathering. We ask that you would lead and direct, and we ask that it'll be done in a manner of unity, which will allow our city to move forward to be a tremendous blessing that it already is. Bless everybody in attendance. I mean, Lord, their families that are real and dear and true to their hearts outside of this environment. Touch them, touch their homes, touch all that they put their hands to, that it would prosper. And we just thank you that as we can lean in a little bit more to the goodness of heaven, that you will continue to pour out your goodness upon us. And so for that, we want to thank you in advance. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we're going to go into the agenda order of business at this time. Thank you. Madam City Manager, is there anything from your office that would be pulled today?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councilman Pinedo?
No, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Porras?
6B and 6C.
6B?
Yeah, 6 as in B as in boy and 6C.
Okay. Councilwoman Reynoso?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Cabral?
No. I just want to confirm. You said 6B like boy and C.
6B like boy and C like cat.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cabral, you said nothing either?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and defer items 9C and 9D.
You have to make a motion.
Need a motion for deferral?
Motion?
Motion by Councilwoman Reynoso,
Second.
second by Councilman Pinedo.
9-6,
9C
9C.
and 9D.
To the firm, what's the reason?
Sure. Item 9D directly relates to a matter, in my opinion, that is subject to pending litigation by Vice Mayor Porras against the city of Doral, which has cost us now upwards of $10,000. I think it would be inappropriate to have a conversation regarding specifically the duties of the vice mayor outlined by the city charter. The memo was quite litigious in its preparation, and therefore I think it's inappropriate after speaking to the city attorney that we have this discussion on the dais. And 9C, I have serious concerns based on past patterns and conduct to turn this dais into a courtroom. I think that it is not a place to interrogate staff. It really creates a lack of professionalism and a hostile work environment. And so I think that there is the proper places to take up these grievances, and this is not the place to do that. I will not allow for our council meetings to become places of chaos. So it's not appropriate at this time. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I have a motion to defer items 9C and 9D, made by Councilman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No.
Vice Mayor Porras?
No.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. We'll move now into public comments. If you would like to speak on anything on this agenda, excuse me, or germane to this council, now would be your opportunity. please approach the podium. You have 3 minutes to speak in a professional manner. Please state your name and address when you are ready to come up. We will start with those who have filled out comment cards. We'll start with Mr. Richard Gladstad.
Good morning, everybody. Richard Gluckstadt, 4768 Northwest 114th Avenue. All right, there's stuff on here today about Loud and Live, managing the pavilion out there. Forget it. I don't know how they even got considered for this, but if you did your due diligence, you'd see they have terrible reviews, terrible. I'm not going to go into it, but there's just as many bad reviews as the good ones that they probably put up there themselves. Now, on the police plan, like Trump says, I have a concept of a plan for Medicaid. Well, this is a concept of a plan that's going to cost us $370,000 for a building we probably can't afford at this moment because the economy sucks. I went to Denny's today at 9 o'clock to have breakfast. I was the only customer in that place, and the owner told me he got there at 7. I was the first person to go in there to have breakfast. I used to go in that place. It was slammed, busy. Me, guess what? The only one. Thank God I have the money to eat breakfast. All right, the next thing is what the city attorney's trying to pass here with Ray Valdez's contract. I don't know how he could come up with something like that. To me, the two of them must be related or something. Otherwise, who'd give somebody like that a contract? Okay? First of all, on the contract, it says he gives a P.O. box as an address, 227610. Well, I know he was a cop and he has to watch his back, but damn it, he should at least put an address down there. Okay? We don't even know where he lives. Second of all, what's his real name? Ray is a nickname. That's not his name. That needs to be changed too. Okay? First of all, the contract gives him no oversight, no real oversight. Okay? He starts out at $150 an hour for a 40-hour, 2-year contract, and once he goes over 40, which he decides if he wants to work overtime, of course, because he has no oversight, he's making $200 an hour. Wow, I wish I could get a gig like that, but my cousin doesn't work in the Doral, all right? He has an online master's degree from a Mickey Mouse Institute from the University of Georgia in public administration. An online degree. That's the only experience he has with public administration because he was a police officer. All right. He has no FDLE accreditation from the Department of Legal Enforcement. So the city, Mr. Kobiela, decided, well, let's give him $15,000 so he can pay for that too. Extra costs like professional fees, travel, and expenses. Remember, he makes his own logs. He can do basically whatever he wants, and all he's got to do is look for problems that he can find that you're going to have. He doesn't like you guys to begin with. He's been bounced around here so many times. If I were him, first thing I'd do is I'd go after everybody on the city council. Remember he said, there's something wrong with this city council. Do you remember? And he quit. He's a prima donna. Why do you even want to hire a guy like that?
Mr. Gladstad.
The guy's a prima donna.
Thank you, Mr. Gladstad. Okay, the next comment card we have is Mr. Martin Was. Good morning, Mr. Was. Nice to see you.
Martin Was Realty, 5582 Northwest 79th Avenue. We are celebrating our 52nd year in business this year, and good thing I started when I was 2. Otherwise, I'd be an old person. I've been involved in all the drainage programs that the county has done out here for all these many years. Back in 2023, again, they did some new drainage, the county did, where they took drainage that was east of 79th Avenue on 57th Street and went across to 58th Street and tied it into the canal. The county has at all the canal basins where all this continuous drainage goes, device called manatee grates. Manatee grates are put in to prevent manatees from getting stuck in the drainage. I have a whole bunch of emails going back from 2023 where the director or the person in charge of stormwater in Doral has stated that it's the county's responsibility to keep these drains clear of debris. Now that we're in the rainy season and hurricane season, it's more important that these get checked on a regular basis. In November 2023, the city did send Public Works up to 58th Street because it was completely clogged and backing up water back onto 57th Street and 79th Avenue. So all I'm asking is that the Public Works Department on a regular basis, while they're doing their routine, to check these grates that are on 58th Street, 41st Street, 25th Street, to make sure there is no debris, and then contact the county's Department of Public Works to make sure that we keep this area as dry as possible. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Through the manager's office, I'm sure Mr. Carlos Arroyo is right there and can address some of that, but I know that they are definitely on it. Yes. Thank you. All right, any other public comments at this time? This would be your moment for reasonable opportunity. Would anyone else like to speak? Being none, public comments is now closed. Madam Clerk, we'll go on to the consent agenda.
So it'll be all of the items on section 6 with the exception of 6B and 6C.
We will hear 6B and 6C after 9:11, I think it is. I mean, I'm sorry,
9E.
9E, yes, correct. Correct. All right. I need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Reynoso, second by Councilman Pinedo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that the consent agenda has passed unanimously. All right, we'll move on to the next item. Madam Clerk,
Item 7A, approval of minutes.
I need a motion on the minutes if there's no
Motion.
motion by Councilwoman Reynoso, second by Councilman Pinedo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that the minutes have approved unanimously. We'll now move on to presentations.
Item 8A, Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award.
All right, Mr. Edgar Estrada. Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Madam Manager, Mr. Deputy Manager, Mr. City Attorney, Madam Clerk, and members of the audience, Edgar Estrada, Co-Compliance Director. This month, we are pleased to recognize Diamond Net Event Rentals for their outstanding commitment to keeping Doral beautiful. The property for which they're being recognized for is located at 11091 Northwest 27th Street. Diamond Net Event Rentals has been in the city of Doral for 39 years. This property is approximately 217,000 square feet, and the business has 150 employees. Diamond Net Event Rentals is the largest full-service party rental company in South Florida with a diverse inventory to suit various tastes and needs. Some of the recent improvements include painting the entire building, the addition of a mural that extends throughout the building, upgraded landscape, introducing trees and florals, and the illumination of the property to highlight both the artwork and the garden. It is with great pleasure that we name Diamond Net Event Rentals for the Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award for their continued efforts to keeping Doral beautiful. And Madam Mayor and Council, here to accept the award is the business owner, Mr. Humberto Alvarez, along with his two partners.
Thank you. Mr. Alvarez, would you like to say a few words? Seguro? Yeah, seguro. Well, come up for a picture. Vamos. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿El edificio está? We need to move this way, right? Vamos a echar un poquitito para acá para estar en el medio del... There we go, sorry. Okay, we move on to the next item.
Item 8B, fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report.
Good morning,
morning.
Mayor and City Council, City Manager, Deputy City Manager, City Clerk. Representing the city's external auditing firm, Caballero, Firman, Llerena, and Garcia, is Mr. Elias Rodriguez.
Yes, absolutely. You're fine.
Okay, good morning. My name is Elias Rodriguez, and I work with Caballero Firman Llerena Garcia, as she introduced. I'm here to present the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year 24. I'm going to keep this brief, and I'll try to speak as little accountant as possible to make it interesting, I guess. I would like to direct your attention to the introductory section, which should start on Roman numeral 1, page 1. And in that section, I want to direct you to page 6. On that page, you should see an award from the GFOA, from the Government Finance Officers Association, for Certificate of Achievements of Excellence in Financial Reporting. This award, the one you have now on the financial statements, is for 2023, because I still have to review the 2024. From our experience and from our review of the financial statements, you should qualify for this award for the fiscal year 2024 issued financial statements as well. I'm going to move on to the independent auditor's report, which should be found on page 1. And I'm going to read a portion of the opinions paragraph, because it's kind of a long paragraph. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material aspects the material financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city as of September 30th, 2024. That is an unmodified opinion, which is great news, and that should be the only opinion that you would want to be associated with in an audit. The next section, moving on to the management's discussion and analysis. That's going to be on page 4. Now, if you're not going to read anything on the financial statements, I highly recommend you read this. It puts everything from management's perspective. It's not as technical as the rest of the document, and it presents information from the prior year to the current year, in addition to some economic factors and just management's perspective on the performance of the city for the year. Moving forward to page 14, that's where your financial statements will begin, and the first section would be the government-wide financial statements, which presents a overall picture of the city, your governmental activities, and your business type activities. And if you move forward through that section, you will see your individual fund financial statements for your governmental funds and business type, in addition to your pension fund. I want to highlight on page 16 the unassigned fund balance, which seems to be a healthy fund balance, of $75.9 million in the general fund. The next section is going to be the notes to the financial statements, starting on page 25. This is just additional disclosures and more details on what is presented on the financial statements in the previous section. Skipping forward to page 60, which should be your required supplementary information. This is just information that supplements your financial statements and your notes and has additional required disclosures. You'll find your OPEB and your pension disclosures in there, your net pension liability, etc. If you want to look, and you might have a detailed schedule because it's on the agenda that you have a budget to actual schedule that's a little bit more in detail. But if you want to look at your budget to actual on your general fund, you'll find that on page 60. Okay. And last but not least, on the financials, on page 106 should be around the back, would be your compliance section. The compliance section includes required reports that are required by us to file, which are going to be for the your government auditing standards report. You're also going to have the state auditor general report, and you actually had a single audit this year, so you'll have a uniform guidance report. And we're pleased to announce that you have no findings for 2024, so that's great news. That concludes the financial statement portion. I want to introduce the communications letter to those charged in governance. This is a letter that's provided at the conclusion of every audit. And as mentioned in the financial statements, you have no findings, so that's great news. But additionally, this letter provides a report card on the performance of management during the course of the audit. And we're pleased to announce that we have encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with management, and we had no disagreements with management during the course of our audit, which is great news. We want to take a moment to thank management, in addition to the finance department, for being responsive and professional during the course of the audit. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm open to any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. I believe we do have questions. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Hi, thank you. Through the mayor. Did you experience any issues obtaining any financial documents during the study of your report?
Not to my knowledge, but I can confirm with the partner. I'll jot down your question and confirm with the partner.
Okay, just to confirm, no
Definitely.
issues on your knowledge with transparency, issues with obtaining financial documents, everything.
Not to my knowledge. I'll confirm that with the team, though.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Your report was received and reviewed, and I think that the closeout letter was pretty clear that there was no findings. So we want to thank our staff for the hard work and for their diligence.
Yeah. Do you have an email? I can ask the partner to reach out to you directly if you like.
Sure, I'll have my assistant pass that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, move on to the next item.
We're now moving on to discussion items. Item 9A, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, directing the city manager and chief financial officer to revise and amend the community-based organization CBO grant program to establish 2 grant cycles per fiscal year, modify the funding disbursement procedure to allow for upfront or partial payments, limit eligibility to 1 grant per organization per fiscal year, increase the total program funding to $50,000 to be split equally between cycles, increase the maximum grant award per organization to $7,000 at the discretion of the selection committee, authorizing the committee to establish guidelines for advanced disbursement of funds between 25 to 50%, and mandate community outreach through educational workshops and promotional campaigns, providing for implementation, incorporation of recitals, and an effective date.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Pinedo, this is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. As you all know, the City of Doral CBO's grant program has been instrumental in supporting non-for-profit and grassroots organizations that deliver essential services and programming to our residents for so many years. However, the current structure presents, in my humble opinion, challenges, especially when we talk about smaller or newer organizations. The once-per-year grant cycle and reimbursement-only funding model certainly exclude organizations that lack sufficient liquidity to front expenses. As you know, this was modified, revised a couple of years ago, and I believe that if we move forward with this direction, I think that we're gonna just not only to make more access to city resources for these organizations, but at the same time, will improve the efficiency and transparency of the CBO grant program. This is more common sense type of revision. The fact that we're giving grants sometimes to organizations and asking them to that they have to provide invoices first in order for the city to make the reimbursement, sometimes for me it doesn't make any sense, especially if it's a new organization. That's a reason why they apply for a grant, is because they need the funding. And it's not that I'm asking to provide 100% upfront. It is, we're gonna leave this up to, my recommendation is to leave this up to the committee to make that recommendation if it's to up to 25% or 50%, and also to establish the guidelines that goes along with this disbursement. And also, as you heard, the request also established 2 grant cycles. I believe that just one time is not enough, especially for the number of organizations that we have out there, and at the same time to increase the funding to up to $7,000. Again, this is to, and I believe, and the city manager and the city attorney can correct me, but this is something that we had before in similar fashion. It was revised, but once again, the way that it is right now really doesn't make any sense. There's a reason why these non-for-profit organizations, they apply for a grant, is because they need the money. So, but again, once again, I would leave this to, my suggestion is to leave this to the discretion of the selection committee, and then they certainly can establish the guidelines in how this disbursement of funds will take place.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Reynoso,
Second.
second by Councilman Pinedo. I do have a question. This isn't formalized in an ordinance, or is it just a policy that we have? I do remember when the CBO grants changed from being upfront grants to being reimbursed. But I just want to make sure, does this have to come back to us, or with this is enough to move forward and make the changes? Obviously, in the budgeting, we will do during the budget process, and will take effect next year. Do we know?
Mayor, we're looking it up, but
Okay.
I do believe that it is an internal policy, not anything that's been codified.
Yeah, I wasn't, I don't remember if it was something that had to come forward or not. Yes, it's not, right? Okay. Okay, so with this action, we can make the changes for the next cycle, and then
Correct.
clearly the funding aspect of it will be implemented during the budget process. Okay, all right. That was my only clarification. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we can call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilwoman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, discussion 9B, council meeting procedures and agenda management. This was deferred from the May 14th meeting.
Okay, Councilwoman Cabral.
On this item, I had a meeting with our city attorney through the chair, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, madam.
Would you agree that, as you mentioned in the meeting, that the item that was pulled was not, that was deferred, was not within the city charter, was a violation of the city charter on the Citizen Bill number 7? Is that correct?
Which item in particular are you just mentioning, Councilwoman?
When we're look into item 9B, on the discussion that we have on the violation of the charter and the Citizens Bill of Rights, number 7.
So the Citizens Bill of Rights requires, after examination, that once the agenda has been set, if any item is going to be moved, that a reason be provided as for why that item is being removed.
And you acknowledge that there was a prior violation of my item.
Well,
Or
as
different items before that were deferred without giving any explanation.
correct. It seems as has been the practice. I went back from about 2023 throughout 2024 to the present, and it seems as though there have been inconsistencies. At times, there's a reason given. Sometimes the items are just deferred and there's a simple vote. I think looking at the charter now that this has been brought to light, I think anytime that a council person or the mayor decides to defer an item, a reason should be provided in accordance with the Citizens Bill of Rights.
Nobody had never asked the question before, but the question is being already brought it up. So based on this, I'm bringing my item that was deferred on April 16 on the next agenda. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a comment.
Okay, yes, Councilwoman, Vice Mayor Porras.
So looking at the procedures, I also want to point out one thing. I know that we're kind of pointing out different procedural things that we need to correct, right? And that we've maybe in the past done wrong. And as we get to them, I would like to see them corrected, and that's what we're doing now. One of them is when we are at a session, like for example, in the morning session, I've noticed that we have changed some of the items that are in the evening session. I would say since we have, two agenda orders of business, one during the morning and one during the evening, that we stick with just the morning items, during the agenda order of business review, and not touch anything that's in the evening for obviously two different reasons. One being that we do have an agenda order of business in the evening, and items in the evening should be dealt with in the evening. And two, there are some residents that are waiting to see the items that were in the morning be dealt with in the morning, and then the evening in the evening. So items that are being moved or deferred in the evening during the morning session, residents may miss them because they're not watching the morning session. So if everyone is in agreement with that, I think we should also start doing that.
I have a comment on that. Actually, I don't necessarily agree with that because there's been times where we've made a decision as a body to defer something earlier so that people don't have to come in the evening and waste their time because it's not going to be discussed because there was a change. For example, it's happened mostly with zoning items where there's been an objection or something has come up over the course of 24 hours, where if we have the ability to defer it in the morning so that the person doesn't have to come in the evening and waste their time, then they make the trip out here, they're here, and it's gonna get deferred. So I've had several moments where zoning attorneys particularly, they ask for it to be deferred in the morning so that they don't have to waste their time coming in the evening, billing their clients,
Yeah,
and so
and
on
I've seen
so
that
forth.
too,
So
right.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that that's a decision we can make appear very rationally, depending on what the item is. If it's a normal ordinance that doesn't impact, other parties that have to be a part of it, then I don't see that being a problem. But in many cases, and normally the only time we've deferred items that are in the evening, in the morning session when setting the agenda, it's been cases of zoning where we have to notify those parties, you're not gonna have to come in the evening because we're not gonna be able to hear your item.
And I've seen that too. I agree. I think that it helps, but I've also had residents who do not watch the morning session where we defer something in the evening, and then they come to the evening session not knowing that it's been deferred. So I would say look at two things. One, if we can reconcile that, if we can do something where we are notifying residents some way. And two, we have two different agenda orders of business, right?
Yes.
Do we not?
Yes, we do.
So, I mean, is it procedurally correct to go into the agenda order of business for the evening during the morning agenda order of business? I guess that's something that you can,
So if you take a look at section 272, it says all regular council meetings. So it's all the meetings are split into
Right.
two sessions, morning and an evening session. And the mayor then calls the meeting to order and the city clerk calls the roll. The roll is called twice just to make sure that we have quorum, but the meeting's established in the morning. So it's one meeting that's just split in two.
Right.
The first part is where, in the morning session is where you have the agenda order of business. So it's in that point where you decide where you're going to defer an item or not. You also have an opportunity to do so in the evening, but to say that it's improper to do it in the morning, it kind of it would go contrary to the fact that it's one meeting that is really split in two. Now, could you adopt a policy of maybe if it's a land use item, as the mayor suggested, that we allow those and maybe
right.
give
It's, I mean, something like that would be helpful. I understand the attorneys having to save time, but they're, again, residents that are seeing an agenda published with an item in the evening and not knowing that it's been deferred because they didn't watch the morning meeting is a problem.
Yeah. I think that it needs to be left up to our discretion and we can take that into consideration. And at the moment that we're gonna defer an item in the morning, a council member can put their statement on the record and say, I don't think we should be deferring this because residents may not be watching, and then the council will take that into consideration. But observed and noted, thank you for your comments. We definitely will take it into consideration. Anything else? Okay, I think that's it. So, to my understanding, what Councilwoman Cabral is saying is that because an item was deferred without reason, which has been done here historically several times, not in an intent of a violation of any kind, but rather an oversight. No one asked what was the reason. I was asked today, gave a reason, not a problem, that she would like to bring back that item that was deferred. Mr. City Attorney, the item was deferred regardless. Would we have to bring back every single item that's been deferred without reason?
If you're following that logic, train of thought, then yeah, you would be able to bring back any of those historic items if you're applying that uniformly.
If I made that particular one, I even addressed that it was a violation that day, and I also, I talked to you about it on that day also, and I asked you, and you told me that you needed some time for clarification and to check on that, so that's why I'm bringing and I'm requesting that, and I'm gonna be bringing that item back based on that conversation that we had.
Councilwoman, I mean, if the body wishes to bring that item back, that's up to the body to do so. However, I did mention in our conversations that if we bring that one, then all the other prior ones would be subject to the same, rule. I mean,
The question was never asked, and I asked particular because of that item. And if we go by that, then, I mean, let's put an example in science. People didn't know before that smoking was a harm, it give cancer. Now people know, so they had to put in the label. In this case, I asked particular because of that item.
Understood, and I think going forward, that needs to be done by this council in order to be able to be in compliance with the charter. A reason needs to be provided.
But I think that it's just fair for me to bring it back because the question rise on that particular item on that day. Not before, it was on that day.
I understand, but it was
So your
voted on by
opinion-
this body. It was approved by this body. If we go based on what you're saying, and I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. You're right. There's a charter provision on it. There is a Citizens Bill of Rights. However, going back at least through 23 and 24, there were numerous times where various members of this body deferred items without giving an explanation. They would just roll off 4 items deferred, and the item would be voted on, and it would move forward. So if we're going to do that, then we would have to think about taking a holistic approach and bringing back other items as well. Or there would be the opportunity to do that, bring those other items. That's the Pandora's box that you would be opening.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. I think the proper steps to take is moving forward. It will not
I don't
happen
agree.
again. Well, if we need a motion to make sure that it is corrected, that, any item that's been deferred by this body would need to be brought back by the body.
I don't agree with the opinion of the city attorney because I raised the question at that time. And I think that it's just fair at the time that I was giving you to look into it and to see if there was a violation of the charter, because there was clearly a violation of the charter by the mayor by deferring my item on April 16 about Doge.
Councilwoman, undoubtedly, you asked me to look into it, I looked into it. The Bill of Rights is clear. It needs to be followed. The problem that this body faces, though, is that hasn't been the practice traditionally. I can't see a time where motions were deferred and
It was
maybe
before the question was raised. I go again, and I am not going to agree with you. I mean, we can spend the whole morning talking about this, but I don't agree with it because the question was never raised. I raised the question, I talk about it at the point that happened.
Just to clarify, Mr. City Attorney, in your review of this matter, you reviewed several meetings from 2023, 2024, and beyond. Did the councilwoman or anyone else at that time defer items without explanation from other members of this body?
everyone's done it. Yes.
Technically,
Yes, she did as
in
well.
violation of the charter as well.
There was no knowledge at
Excuse me,
that time, and there was
Councilwoman,
no
I'm
question.
speaking at this time. Thank you very much. I appreciate respect from you. Yes. So there was at that time also a practice of deferrals with no notice.
There was.
Okay. So do you believe at this time a motion would be appropriate to make sure that there is clear understanding from the administration and your office that any items that have been deferred previously under that practice will not be brought back unless it's with direction from the body that deferred it?
If you wish to make that motion, that's appropriate.
I just want to make sure it's clear on the record. Moving forward, we understand and it's been brought to our attention and we will absolutely clarify it.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, we would need a motion as such.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Reynoso,
Second.
second by Councilman Pinedo. If there's no other discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. You understand the question?
I will make sure to gather from the record, or if you want.
Any previous items deferred would only be brought back by the body that deferred it.
Okay. Motion to have any previous item deferred be brought back by the body that deferred it, made by Councilwoman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No.
Vice Mayor Porras? Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, let's move on. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Next item will be item E, discussion advisory board committees and commissions member nominations. Mayor and council, that's my item. I received additional nominations to some of the boards, and they're attached for your approval.
Okay. Is there any questions about the nominations? Otherwise, I would need a motion.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Reynoso,
Second.
second by Councilman
Quick
Pinedo.
question.
Yes, Vice Mayor Porras.
These don't include the last ones, right, after you publish the agenda? 'Cause I think I
Correct,
sent one.
correct.
Okay, so there'll be more?
I still have more. I am still
Yeah.
missing a
Okay.
couple more.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I have a motion to approve made by Councilman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. We go back to item 6B.
Item 6B, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, executing an agreement with Ray Valdez for the provision of Inspector General Services, providing for instructions to the mayor and city attorney, implementation, incorporation of recitals, and an effective date. This was pulled by Vice Mayor Porras.
Okay, Vice Mayor Porras,
Yes.
you have
I
questions?
pulled this one to get individual votes. I'm of course in opposition, so that's the only reason I pulled it.
Okay, do you have particular questions about the
No.
contract? All right, does anyone else have any questions on the contract?
Motion.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Councilwoman Reynoso, second by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Cabral, you have questions?
Okay, thank you. I have a few points. On my meeting review with the agenda review with the city manager, I remember that you told me that he was going to be, he's agreed to pay 40 hours, but it doesn't specify on 3.1. The 40 hours is going to be monthly, weekly, so I would like to see if that could be amended or clarify there.
Yes,
Mr. City
Council.
Attorney? Or Madam Clerk?
Through the
Madam
mayor.
City Manager.
Yes, the 40 hours are monthly.
Okay, if that can be reflected. As well, I have another question when it comes to service to be performed on section 1.1B. This question is to Mr. Attorney. Do you know if the Inspector General has any legal education or official certification that qualifies him to review and interpret legal documents?
My understanding is that Mr. Valdez has experience as being a administrator within the police department. I believe that any documents that he's going to be reviewing would probably be in the purview of documents that have to do administratively and within the city, some of them which could have legal implications. He is a law enforcement, so he's had to take a look at legal statutes and documents and be able to enforce them in an enforcement capacity. So I know that he has legal enforcement training and experience and education, but not in the realm of an attorney, if that answers your question.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. I don't know if there's any other language that can be used just to clarify, because he doesn't have any legal, like you confirm.
When it comes to these services performed, it's for him to review and bring it to the council's attention. And then if there's anything that's going to be done in furtherance after that, he brings to the council's attention, he would need direction from this body. So he just can't, be making arbitrary decisions on legal documents.
I'd like to.
Okay, and then on the
Go ahead.
on also within the agreement, I would like to see there's a clause that usually happened. I mean, it is presented in different contracts where, especially because of what has transpired about when it comes to for him to be impartial and fair. There's some clause where it says that that the agreement doesn't mention anything when it comes to fairness or being impartial. And I have a concern with that, and I would like to see if you can add a clause
Point of
that it
order.
says that he will be.
There's a point of order on the floor.
But I haven't
Yes,
haven't
Councilwoman,
finished.
but there is a point of order
Yeah,
which
I
takes
understand,
precedent, so,
to explain if
Excuse
there's
me.
any violation.
Councilwoman, there's a point of order. The point of order takes precedent. Let her explain the point of order, and then we'll go back. Councilwoman Reynoso.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We discussed the bias situation last month during our last agenda. I don't think this agenda item is for this conversation, so I believe that we should not have this discussion at this time.
Point of
Well,
order is maintained.
okay.
If you have other questions, Councilwoman, I think
Yes,
it's
I do have.
prudent to move forward.
It has brought up that point, and nothing has been done. So I think that that clause should be within his contract. As well, I would like to know who is going to evaluate his performance. I don't think that it should be partial in the sense that neither the city manager or any body that has to do as an elected official will be the one evaluating, but my recommendation it will be that it will be an outsider, like for example, the ethics committee to evaluate his performance. So it will be more transparency within his evaluation.
So
Thank you, Councilwoman Cabral. Mr. City Attorney, can you please clarify the oversight of an Inspector General for municipalities, counties, and other government agencies?
Absolutely. So the Inspector General needs to follow a certain guidelines that are provided by Florida law. One of the things that is in this agreement is that he is going to obtain the accreditation necessary under FDLE. The Inspector General is an independent body, but he does serve at the pleasure of this board. The actual ordinance itself says that the Inspector General can be removed from office by a four-fifths vote of this body. So he is, and he has only a 2-year contract. So after a 2-year performance, his contract is up, and you can decide whether to search for a new Inspector General or not, and within that period of time, you can also remove him. With regards to your question on independence, that I think is both in the charter and in the actual ordinance itself, and where he does need to exhibit and be independent and impartial. So I think that speaks for itself. If it's not in the agreement, it is in the ordinance and the charter.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Does that conclude your questions?
I was asking, so it will be also reflected within the contract, but if you consider that it's not, but that was my suggestion, to be reflected also within the contract.
Mr. City Attorney, is there a termination clause in the contract?
The issue of the termination clause, Madam Mayor, is that yes, it is, but it is depending on the ordinance itself, because the ordinance does require that there is a four-fifths vote.
But there is a termination clause.
Yes, there
because
is.
What the councilwoman basically is asking for is for a termination clause in the case of bias.
Correct.
Which is, not,
Yeah, and it's
we
there.
can
It's
judge.
willful noncompliance with applicable laws, regulations, or ordinances.
Correct.
If you were to act in a manner that's unbiased, overtly, then yeah.
And
that
one
would
of the
be a
things that
violation.
we did talk to Mr. Valdez about was being accredited, which is a way of having oversight from an independent agency, correct? Mr.
That is
City
correct,
Attorney?
Madam Mayor.
Okay. I do want to clarify also what was brought up on section 1B. It is very clear. It says review of city agreements, contracts, and other legal instruments as deemed necessary in the Inspector General's discretion to detect, investigate, and prevent fraud, mismanagement, and misconduct. It's not to review the legal instrument for its validity of a legal document. It's to find fraud, misconduct, or mismanagement. So we're not asking him to review documents as a legal document for our decision-making. Additionally, I want to just clarify some points that were brought up during public comments, that this is an office that was established by charter. So this is not Mr. Covillella's doing. This is established by charter. The ordinance directed myself and Mr. Covillella to sit with the Inspector General and negotiate a contract. We reviewed several contracts throughout the state of Florida. We are one of the smallest municipalities that has an IG directly for us, so it was very difficult to determine a structure in compensation that made sense. There was several back and forths. We did feel that this was the most adequate for the size. understanding that it is our first go around and we'll have to evaluate. He will have to maintain record keeping of his time. And I also want to state very clearly that the ordinance is clear that the no investigation shall be prompted without signed affidavit and a clear notification of a
Correct.
potential misconduct. It needs to be, someone needs to actually come and file a complaint, basically. You can't just start your own investigation. And as he reviews documents, which he can review agendas and he can review documents and all these things. If he finds that there needs to be an investigation, it does need to come to this body for approval to proceed, correct?
That's correct. He just can't act on his own. He is under the supervision of this council, unless he receives something in an independent verified complaint that's notarized, it's witnessed, and it's filed with him, and then he has a duty to investigate.
Yes. While we reviewed the time that it would take to do normal emails, review council meetings, just general inquiries that may come into the office that may not lead to an investigation, just of its formal review, we felt that 40 hours was an appropriate time for the office to be able to actually do the service it's intended to do through the charter. I just wanted to put that on the record.
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you. All right. So if there's no additional questions, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I have a motion to approve made by Councilwoman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No.
Vice Mayor Porras? Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we move on to the next item.
Next item, item 6C, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a work order with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. to provide professional services for the conceptual design of a proposed future police headquarters in an amount not to exceed $370,376.26, recognizing that Stantec Consulting Services is a city of Doral pre-qualified vendor, authorizing the city manager to transfer $370,376.26 from account number 301.80005.500,634 to account 301.6005.500,650, authorizing the city manager to expend budgeted funds on behalf of the city in furtherance hereof, providing for implementation, incorporation of recitals, and effective date. This was pulled by Vice Mayor Porras.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Perez. This was pulled by you, and I believe the city manager's office as well will
Yeah, thank you.
address.
Yeah, I just wanted to have the manager's office provide a brief overview of what the item is about for the public. Thank you.
Madam City Manager?
Yes, good morning through the mayor. I'd like to call up our Capital Improvements Division Chief, Lázaro Quintero. We have a small presentation just to go over the item.
IT, if you can put up the presentation. Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Madam Manager, Mr. Deputy City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, and Madam Clerk. Lázaro Quintero, Capital Improvements Division Chief. So as the manager mentioned, we have a small presentation to discuss, highlight the item before you today. So the item before you is for the conceptual design for a future proposed police department headquarters building. The site being considered is the existing site that the training facility sits on. The area that we're looking to examine is the highlighted area in orange. That area is approximately about 35,000 square feet. So for reference, the training facility you see there in the top right-hand corner of the site is 12,680 square feet. The site itself is a parcel of land that is leased from the state of Florida. The city entered into the lease in 2008. And at the time that the city entered into the lease agreement, city submitted this comprehensive master plan for the parcel itself. So as you can see, item number 4 on this comprehensive master plan is the existing training facility that's already been built. And then you see item number 12, which shows a future civic building for city operations in that same general area that we're looking to examine. So as part of this item and this process where we're at right now in this conceptual design phase, there's basically three main components to this. The first step is program verification. So in this step, the consultants engage with the stakeholders. In this case, the primary stakeholder being the police department, to assess their current and any projected needs, future needs. And along with that same process, the development of a spatial program. So understanding, how much square feet they're going to need for their operations, units, storage, things of that nature. Once the program is verified, we'll move into a schematic design phase. So this is the preliminary design phase that touches upon the different aspects of design that you see there. So anything from site development, architectural, civil, environmental, to kind of give a good understanding of what the building will look like, floor plans, spacing, also examine and research any potential environmental things that will need to be considered, any civil items that will need to be considered that would impact the constructability of the building itself. And then finally, once we've gone through that schematic design phase, the consultant will provide a construction cost estimate, which will allow us to have a better understanding, a more accurate understanding of what the potential cost of the building would be. And it would also allow us the opportunity to forecast potential design fees, design and engineering fees. Typically, design and engineering fees can range between 8 to 15%, depending on the complexity of the project and the magnitude of the project. And then as far as timeline, the consultant has allocated 2 months for programming. So this will involve several meetings with the stakeholders. And then once programming has been verified, approximately 3 months to develop the concept design package for 2 options. And then the goal is to have a presentation of the concepts to council at the beginning of 2026 for your consideration. And then at that point, either a concept is selected and approved, and then if the elected body wants to proceed, then we would, move forward in the design process.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Quintero. Madam City Manager.
Yes, Mayor, as Mr. Quintero said, you all wanted me to go ahead and move forward to look into it. So we have obtained this estimate or proposal to do the conceptual design. Like he said, once phase is completed, we would come back with 2 proposed plans to move forward with costs and everything else. And at that point, the council would make we will make recommendations at that point to you, and you will make decisions. We are counting about 5 months, so we are giving ourselves till the beginning of next year, but it might be sooner if they finish sooner, for us to come back to you with our findings. So our meetings start tomorrow, actually, with the police department and Santec.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the presentation. Vice Mayor Porras, any additional questions?
Nope, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo. Second by Councilwoman Reynoso. If there are no additional questions, Madam Clerk,
Through the
please call roll.
chair, I have a question for the Madam Manager.
Yes,
When we did our agenda review, I asked if there was a bidding process to select this company. You told me that there wasn't, that it was just through the list.
Yes, ma'am.
Why was that decision made, just to go through the list and not be a little bit more transparent and be able to have a bidding process? Because this is not 10,000, 20, or 50,000. We're talking over $370,000. And within the scope of work of what he was showing there, 8 to 15%, we're talking that maybe will be a project that will cost over $4 or $6 million or so. why is it that we didn't do or go through the bidding process, or within that list? It's just that that list is determined that nobody will do the bidding. We just choose whoever was next.
Okay, so it's a two-part question. First, the last part where you said about the design and engineering services, that will go out to bid once this is completed. So that will get awarded, and we will go through our procurement process when that is done. But this particular instance, there is a list that the council approves. I believe it's every 2 years, if I remember correctly, more or less, where there are approved firms for engineering and architecture that we keep. And then the department goes through, Public Works and Capital Improvements work together, and they go down the list to award contracts based on that list. As a matter of fact, there's somebody that actually oversees that throughout the state to make sure we're using the contractors that are on that list, and that we cannot use anyone that is not vetted and part of that list that the council approved.
If I may, through the mayor,
Yes,
that's,
Mr. City
the
Attorney.
particular statute is the CCNA. And so this pool have already been vetted through the formal procurement process, and that's why we have them on standby. And so it really, for projects that are below a certain threshold, it allows us to be able to access those contracts without having to procure every single time. So this particular Stantec was procured. It was just procured to be on a standby contract, and that's why we're accessing this now. Once it goes beyond a certain threshold, Florida law requires us to go out for a bid.
Regardless on the price of the cost.
No, it's, I believe, anything below 500,000 for this type of work.
500.
It can be accessed through that pool. Anything above then needs to go out.
Okay.
The statute recently changed, so it might be a little bit above 500, but it's more or less around that amount.
If you notice, Councilwoman, the resolution doesn't say that we've waived competitive bidding, because technically we have not. These vendors are pre-approved through a competitive bid process, and it's a pool of contractors that we use for these types of services.
So it's in compliance with our procurement process.
Of course, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to
And state
clarify
statute.
Everything
that
else that we
for,
do.
just wanted to clarify that for our residents, so if any question will arise, they will know that there was no bid and this is the reason for.
That is
There
correct.
was a bid for
There
the
was,
pool of
Yeah,
contractors.
the pool.
The
But what
ITB
I
was-
mean is within the list, I mean, I understand that the list exists and all that, but it was based on that it's less than the 500,000, like he is explaining, our attorney, so for general knowledge.
Yes.
Correct. All right, any other questions? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
Mayor's
move on.
report.
Yes, thank you very much. I have my mayor's report. Okay, so this month, I want to remind everyone that the grand opening of the immersive play for Las Paredes Oyen starts on the 14th of June. We will have our opening night for the city on June 13th. So I hope everyone will come and enjoy and be able to purchase tickets. There is discount codes for those who need it, for Silver Club members. And there is a free night for students. So if you're a student, please make sure to come see it. It's absolutely beautiful. If you guys haven't walked over to see what they're building in there, it's impressive. So please do so and promote it on your social media. I just wanted to wish all of the graduates congratulations for the end of the school year, and a happy Father's Day to everyone. Happy birthday to Jane Decker on the 13th. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much. And obviously, July, no council meeting. So if anyone's going on vacation, have a safe vacation. Stay dry. It's been raining a lot. And that's all. Madam City Manager.
City
Good
Manager's
morning.
report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, we circulated an email regarding the council offices. I know some of you have asked for meetings. We're scheduling those to discuss any comments that you may have with respect to the remodeling. So if you haven't answered, or if you would like to have a meeting with our office, please reach out to Cynthia and we'll schedule that. Now I would like to bring up our Chief of Police, Edwin Lopez, who is going to introduce us to a new member of the team.
So exciting.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Madam Manager, Clerk, and Deputy City Manager. So today we're officially adding a new member to our team, our second therapy dog. And the community's been very accustomed to having Ginger on board at first, that we brought on board about a year and a half ago. It's been a staple of our community, attending events, attending schools, really creating that bond with the community and with kids, especially during times of need, victims of crimes in our community, even oftentimes serving folks outside of our community, attending different municipalities and county events because she's so popular. She's done an amazing job, and I want to give kudos to Mauro Oliveira, the police officer, the handler for Ginger, who has partaken in training and has really brought Ginger to the top of the class in terms of therapy dogs. So due to an amazing partnership that we have with Alice Kanazi and David from CPR Foundation, the Community Policing Relations Board, they've offered a generous donation to be able to acquire a second therapy dog, seeing the success of Ginger. And today we formally introduce Milkshake to the team. Milkshake, come up.
Milkshakes. She's so cute.
Oh my.
Thank you. She's so cute. Chief, can you tell us anything about Milkshake? What type of dog she is? And
So Milkshake is about 10 weeks old. It's a chocolate Labrador. I have Alice Carrillo, the Milkshake's handler, been assigned her and has made an amazing team. The name Milkshake was a unique concept. And how, I mean, I'm going to cut to the chase here, but why Milkshake? We have a partnership with Sloan's, a city place who's been courteous to bring milkshakes for the council and people in attendance today, our police officers, to commemorate the staple of the new staple in our community. Let me hand Milkshake back to Alex.
thank you. And do we have the donor here today as well?
David as well. I'm going to bring David up to say a few words as well about the partnership and some of the work that they do in our community. David.
Awesome. Thank you, Chief. Milkshakes.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. So on behalf of the Community Police Relations Foundation, we're very, very proud to be able to provide this amazing animal to the Doral Police Department. You know, it's our foundation's fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of different things to give back to the community and to give back to law enforcement, but it's not every day we get to donate such a special animal and a dog. So it's really just as special for us as it is for the department, as it is for the city. And it's our hope that Milkshake serves as a daily reminder of that behind the badge there's a human that needs our care and support just like the rest of us. And we hope that this amazing dog is able to provide that, not just to the Doral Police Department, but to the entire city of Doral. So we're really, really proud to be here. And we just really hope, again, that this is able to provide the comfort and support that our officers deserve. So thank you. I really should be thanking you guys, not, I know some of you might be thanking us for this, but we should be thanking you for everything the city is doing, that the police department is doing, the Doral Police Department, to keep our community safe and to build bridges through the badge. So thank you, Chief Lopez, to the mayor, entire city council. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Our gratitude goes beyond bounds, not just on our behalf, but from the entire community. Ginger has been a success. We know that Milkshake is going to live up to that standard as well. They already have. I just want to mention they've been going to the cancer treatment center next door, and it's been just incredible. I have a friend going through the treatment that's there, and I know that it's been something for them just tremendous to see them, and now having a puppy come in, it was really heartwarming to them. So thank you, because what they do on a scale of emotional support, not just for the police department, like you said, but around the entire community is, you know, it has no words or limits. So thank you for the partnership. It's because of organizations like yours, businesses that support our police department, our city, that we're so successful. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us. And I believe we do have something for you as well. We want to take a picture with you and our new addition and the entire team. So thank you all for what you all do. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right, presenting Dave and the team. With a plaque in appreciation of your generous donation toward the purchase of our therapy dog, the Doral Police Department, the City of Doral, and the entire team is deeply grateful for your continued support. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much.
We're going to come down for a picture with our milkshakes too. Where did that come from? All right, let's get them. Frank, pull on the second step. In the back? Ready? Milkshake. Hi, milkshake. Okay, stay there for a video. Did you get your shot? Did you get your shot? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna get a video. Okay?
Can we get one right here? Ready? Okay, big cheese. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Wait, see? One more. Can I take a picture of her?
Thank you so much. Cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much. I was gonna love this. Thank you guys so much. It was great to meet you. Yeah, we no, when I saw about the park, I'm like, that's a perfect. Because you're devoting officers to the park.
Chapter 10, 2 sergeants, 2 officers right now.
Amazing.
A lot of resources.
It's like right up our alley.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. We'll get together. We'll see you again, Chief. Thank you so much.
Ginger's a model. Sorry, Debbie. Perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ginger, look over here. Good girl. All right, the chief just told me that Sloan's has provided milkshakes for everyone, so as you exit, there will be milkshakes from Milkshake and from Sloan's, so enjoy. All right, Madam Clerk, Madam City Manager, is that the end of your report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
I have nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Great, okay, and Madam City Clerk?
I can't top the city manager's report, no matter if I tried. No, I have nothing.
We're gonna have to get an emotional support dog for your office. Okay, if there's no other reports or any other comments, then I need a motion to recess.
Motion.
Motion to recess by Councilwoman Reynoso, second by Councilman Pinedo. You're being out-motioned lately, Miss Councilman Pinedo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is recessed till 6 o'clock. Thank you.